Hello. Hi. How are you? Can you hear me and see me well? Hello, hello. Hi. How are you guys doing? Can you hear me and see me well? Please type in the chat box. Everything okay? Can you hear me and see me well, guys? All right. Yes, great. Very, very good. I'm so happy to be here and thank you guys for joining. Let's start with some shout outs. Okay. Where are you joining us from today? Brazil. Hi, Brazil. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Italy, Sri Lanka. Very good. Hi, Turkey. Welcome, guys. Romania. Okay. Okay. Give me just a second. Where are you guys from? Georgia. Is that Georgia, the country? Or the state of Georgia, which is right next to Tennessee? Ethiopia, Dubai. Okay, very good. Brazil, Australia. Hi, everyone. Mexico, Baltistan, India. Hi. How are you doing? Today's Sunday morning for me. How about you? What time is it where you live? By the way, guys, if you joined late or if you want to see or rewatch this lesson, you can check out the Cambly live or Cambly channel and you'll get the recording, okay? How about let's continue with some greetings. It's Sunday evening, 7 a.m., 4 p.m. India. Great. And what did you do today? Today is Sunday morning, so my day hasn't really started. What did you do this weekend? Anything exciting happened this weekend? Ski with a rollerblade. That sounds amazing. So you went skating or rollerblading? Mother's Day. Oh, right. That's right. Today's in many countries, including here in the US, is Mother's Day. Are you celebrating Mother's Day? I made a cake for my mother. How sweet. You're relaxing. Great. Very good. Well, I'm happy. I'm very happy to be here with you guys. And please keep typing your answers. I always enjoy your participation during the class. And today we're going to have a great lesson. We're just going to wait until everyone's here and we can start. Okay? So let's start with our lesson for today. Okay. France is 4 p.m. Okay, well, are you all set? Are you all ready? I'm very excited. By the way, my name is Tutor Lani. Some of you know me already. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, but I currently live in the state of Tennessee. So, do you know where Arizona or Tennessee are? Have you ever been here? Okay, Lani. Okay, well, let's start. Shall we start then? Today we have a great lesson and we'll be talking about how to talk about past habits. So we'll take a trip down memory lane. I'll help you to think about some childhood memories or memories when you were in school or memories from the past. And we will practice how to use used to and would. We will learn the differences and also the similarities between them. Okay? Okay, well, let's start. And let's start by discussing or talking about the similarities because there are two similarities between used to and would. Okay, And basically what they are is we use both of them to talk about past things that we did in the past that we don't do anymore. Okay, we no longer do these things. We had maybe habits or repeated actions and events that happen regularly, but it's over. Okay, so having said that, I'll show you two examples here. I used to go jogging in the morning. I used to go jogging in the morning. So that's a past habit. And I can also say I would go jogging in the morning when I was in high school, when I lived abroad, when I worked at the hospital. Okay. So we can use used to and would. Same thing. These two sentences show that were things that happened repeatedly in the past, but not anymore. For example, this other sentence here. He used to play soccer after school. Another way of saying this is he would play soccer after school. Okay, so same thing. But now let's focus on the differences between them because we can use both of them, but they're different. So let's go over them together. Okay, and I'm also reading your comments. So if you have any questions as I'm explaining something, please feel free to type. Also, please type your sentences, type personal examples. I'd love to hear about your past and your past habits. Hi, greetings to Taiwan. I hadn't greeted Julia. And okay, all right. Let's start with would, or sorry, used to. I'm gonna take this off, and as we said here, I'm gonna put it back up later. Used to, we use it for actions and for states. So an action we know is a verb like play, eat, run, jump, watch. Those are actions. So I want to hear from you, and let me give you a personal example of a good habit that I had and a bad habit that I had before. Okay, so my I I used to go to the gym. I used to go. It's an action, but I don't do. I don't go. I don't do exercise, or I don't go to the gym anymore. I need to start doing exercise again. But I used to go to the gym. That's a good habit that I don't have anymore. Now, also, I used to bite. I used to bite my nails when I was younger. How about you? Can you type perhaps a good habit that you had or a bad habit that you had in the past? Okay. I used to watch cartoons every morning, so that means you don't watch cartoons anymore. Any bad habits that you quit? I I used to play rugby when I was a high school student. That's cool. You used to play rugby. He used to learn English. He needs to get back to learning. I used to. Okay, Kivar. So we will say I used to smoke. That would be the correct form. I used to smoke. Okay, very good. Excellent. Any other bad habits or good habits that you had? Some people used to, okay, I used to have, I used to read, I used to read a book. I used to read one book a week. Oh, wow, that was such a great habit. You used to read a book a week when you were a teenager. Wow, you were a bookworm. Thank you so much for sharing. Any other good habits or bad habits that you had? I used to do my homework. I used to waste my time. Okay. Many of us used to waste our time. Waste my time. I used to walk. I used to dance. Oh, me too. I used to dance more when I was younger. Okay. Good job. So all these are actions that you did in the past. I used to fly every month. That is so cool. Okay. So keep them coming. So all these are actions. Fly, walk, dance, read, play video games. Robin, you used to play video games. Me too. I used to play video games. Okay, perfect. So all these are action verbs. But the difference between used to and would is that used to can only describe states. Okay, would, we cannot use would with states. Used to is only for states. What do I mean by states? Well, states are emotions, thoughts, opinions. And I wrote down here a couple of verbs of emotion that we will practice, okay? Because that's a state. An emotion is a state. So let me ask you something or give you an example here. State, okay, here. I used to hate broccoli. That's me. That's a true story. I used to hate broccoli here. I used to hate broccoli and celery. And hate is a stative verb. What about you? Is there something that I used to have a dog? Okay, yeah, that is for the verb of possession. Was there something that, or is there something that you like or dislike now that you used to love or hate in the past? We change. So in the past, I used to hate broccoli, but now I love broccoli and I like celery. I don't love celery, but I like celery now. I used to hate bitter gourd. Okay. Anything else that you used to love or hate? I used to hate eating vegetables. I think many kids hate eating vegetables. I used to hate kiwi. So that means that you like kiwi. I used to wake up early. Okay. So we're talking about verbs of emotion. So you can make sentences with hate, love, dislike, like, prefer, enjoy. Let's talk about emotions first. And we'll practice thoughts, possessions, and other stative verbs. Was there anything else that you used to love or hate? And I used to feel, oh, very nice. That's a feeling. Yes, I used to feel insecure. That means that you don't feel insecure anymore. Me too. I used to dance Zumba. I used to feel insecure. I used to enjoy being with my friends. Very nice. Okay. Well done. Well, that's good. Now let's move on to the next verb or section or different types of verbs here. We have thoughts and opinions. So for these verbs, we can use think, know, agree, disagree, remember. There are other verbs like this, but I just wrote some of them. We can't go over all of them, but let me tell you another true story. I used to believe that monsters were real. What about you? I used to be more. For those of you that are new, I see that's um, Busher. So we have live lessons every weekend. Just stay tuned. Different topics, different tutors. Thank you for joining today. I used to believe that Santa. Oh, I don't know if I want to say that aloud. Maybe some kids join today, but great job, Robin. That's an excellent example. I used to believe that was real. Okay. Uh, I used to believe in myself. Oh, I believe in you. You should believe in yourself. We should all believe in ourselves. I used to believe in fairy tales. That's true, especially um, as little kids. We love reading fairy tales. I used to be afraid of the dark. That's a good sentence with the verb to be. Perfect. I used to believe in my heart. Oh, no. Don't trust your heart. Okay, well done. Thank you so much. I'm enjoying reading your sentences. You're doing an excellent job. Well done. Um, Anything else that you used to think, you used to believe or disagree? Or actually, I have another example. I used to disagree. I can use the verb disagree as well. I used to this is not a true story. This is just an example. I used to disagree with my boss. That means that that has changed. Oh, wow. I used to believe that the earth was flat. I used to disagree with my sister. Very good. I used to disagree with my older sister. Well done. Good job. Excellent. Thank you so much for typing. You know, when we're younger, we tend to disagree with family members, especially our parents or older siblings. Okay, well done. Thank you so much for typing. And if you have any questions as we go, please type them as well. Okay. Now let's talk about verbs of possession. We can use used to with have, own, belong, okay, which are verbs of possession. Okay. So here we have one example, and it's not about me, it's they. They used to own a bigger house. Not anymore. Now they have a smaller house. They used to own a bigger house. So I saw some of you typing sentences with have. Someone said they used to have a dog. I used to own pets. I used to have a cat. Very good. Perfect. Think about your past. I used to own a business. Great. So you were an entrepreneur. She used to own trust. She used to have trust issues. Okay. I used to own a car. And you can even say the type of car that you had before. I used to own any type of car. I can't think of any examples. I used to own a Honda CRV. I used to get good profit from. I used to agree. I used to own a skateboard. You used to belong to a music group. Okay, well done. Great job, guys. I didn't. Okay, that's negative. I didn't used to. Okay. I used to own a dog, but a vehicle. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's such a sad story. I used to have a dog, but a car ran him over. Yeah, we will say to run something over instead of crash. Crash is like two cars crashing. So I would use a verb to run over. Okay. I used to. That's very sad. I'm sorry. That happened to me too, I think. I can't remember. I had many, many pets. I used to have dogs, cats, mice, birds, turtles, fish, lizards, everything. I used to have a zoo. He used to live in New York when he was a kid. He used to belong to a choir. Okay, great. Good job. I am enjoying reading your sentences. Like I said, we're thinking about the past, things that are no longer true. The dog name was Scooby. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry about Scooby. Okay, guys. Well, thank you for typing. Oh, I have another one. Another example with have. I used to have a lot of free time. This is true. Now I don't have as much free time. I don't have any free time. But I used to have a lot of free time. I miss those days. I'm always busy now. I'm always on, I have a busy schedule now. How about you? Anything else with used to, with have, own, or belong? Thank you so much. I used to believe in autocorrection. No, don't believe in autocorrection. Program, an autocorrection program. You always have to double check. They're useful, but don't fully trust. You can't fully trust those programs. Okay, well, let's continue, guys. And now we have other stative verbs that we can use. And I mentioned that I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. So now I live in Tennessee. I used to live in Phoenix, Arizona. How about you? Do you do you used to live somewhere else? Do you used to live in another country or city? I'd like to hear from you. I know that some of you have moved to other countries. So, what about you? I used to have a lot of sleep. I used to live with my parents. That's a very good example. Great. That means you don't live with your parents anymore. I used to have a violin. I used to watch a lot of TV when I was younger. That's an action. Very good. I used to live in in LA, Los Angeles. Great. Thank you, Dennis. It sounds okay. Anything else? Someone used to live with his parents, and someone else used to live in LA. I used to. Okay, so that would be better if you say, I used to move frequently, or I used to move often. Instead of I used to often move, I used to move frequently or regularly. You used to move to different countries before you retired or before your retirement. I used to be. That would be. I used to be in a relationship. Okay, now we're talking about relationships. I used to be in a relationship. Okay. That's actually the next verb that I wanted to practice, the verb be. So I used to be in a relationship. I used to study art in Sicily. So you used to live in Sicily, Daniela? Or are you from Italy? Because you said that you used to study art. Okay, Desi, that's a very good question. Can people say used to leave or would leave? Live is a stative verb, so you have to use used to. You can't say I will leave in. That would be grammatically wrong. So you have to say I used to live. Okay? Because live is also um, a longer period of time, even if it was a month or 2 or 3, but still it's a state. It's not an action. I used to be an extrovert. I used to. Okay. So you are Italian, but you used to study in Sicily? Are you from another part of Italy? I used to move frequently. Very good, Elaine. I used to be an extrovert. I used to be a teacher. Oh, wow. What kind of teacher? Were you an English teacher or math, science? I used to be interested in various topics. Everyone used to be a kid when they were young. Yeah, we were all. I used to be single, but now I'm married. Okay, congratulations, Robin. I used to live in Sicily. I used to live in Sicily. Now I live in Rome. Oh, great. Beautiful places. I haven't been to Sicily, but I've been to Rome. Rome is beautiful. You used to be a math teacher. Thank you. I used to be a nurse. Today I'm retired. Oh, that's the life. Yeah, very nice. Thank you so much for participating. Everyone used to be a kid when they were we were all kids, right? Okay. Good job. So he used to be shy is just one example. You can talk about yourself, how you used to be when you were younger. Um, okay. Well, let's move on. Great sentences. Now, thank you so much for typing. In so we just went over these stative verbs. We have more verbs that you can use with used to, but I just gave you some examples. Now remember, states you always have to use used to. And when we're using used to, we don't need a time reference. We don't have to say when this happened. When I was a kid, when I was in high school, every summer. You don't need a time reference. You can just say I used to do this or that or be this or that, and that's it. That's a difference that you will see next with the next part with would, because with would we need a time reference. We definitely need a time reference, but for this one we don't need a time reference. We know that it's over, that you don't do this action or state, or it's over, it was in the past. Also, when we are talking about used to, it's more casual. It's more like an everyday speech. I used to be a fan of MJ. I used to be shy when So that means that you're not shy anymore. You used to be shy. People used to go to the. People used to go to prom. Ah, prom memories. Yes, you're supposed to go as a couple or with someone else. Very nice. So it's more casual. Like I said, it's more casual. It's more informal, and it's also best used for longer periods of time. Okay, that's basically how we use used to, and I am reading your sentences. You're doing an excellent job. You're getting today's grammar is not very hard, and you're very smart. You're typing your sentences. They're all great. So let's move on to the next part. Okay, so this is used to. These are the main points. Now let's move on to wood. Oops, here it is. And like I said before, this one, it's only for actions, not for stative verbs or for states. Okay, we cannot use. Okay, so this is only for actions, and it always needs a time reference, meaning you need to explain when they were younger, when they lived in this place, when they worked at the hospital. You have to have a time reference. You can use when or you can use every. Um, every year, every summer, every weekend. Let me give you an example of would. We would go camping every summer. Okay, so here is would, go, and every summer is a time reference. Okay, can you think of something that you did before using would, and you can use a time expression to make sentences? So we would go camping every summer. What about you? When you were younger, did you go camping? Did you play sports every summer? Did you attend summer school? Anything? We would play badminton every weekend. Oh, that's fun. I like badminton. We would play badminton. Good job. I would go to the beach. Oh, that's so nice. You would go to the beach when you were a child. I would. So I can't say your name, but DV. I would watch Cambly lives on YouTube every weekend. So if you say would, that means that you don't watch them anymore, and you are here. So remember, would is for past habits, past actions that we no longer do. We don't do them anymore. In other words, he would play cricket every evening. I would go to the park every night. Good. I would go camping with my friends when I was in university. We would go to school when, yeah. We would all go to school when we were younger. I would go. You said you had a fitness course, so you would go to the gym or you would go to a studio or somewhere. I would play football twice a week. I would go for a walk every night. Those great habits, very good habits. Okay. I would play football. Any other sports that you would play? Anything else? Okay. Every Saturday I would go for I would go for a long bike ride. Is would past tense of? No, it's a different. It's a different verb. It's just it's an auxiliary verb, but it's not the same. Um, I would go to my grandparents' house every weekend. I would go to my grandparents' house every weekend. Very good. When I was in college, I would play handball. Good. I would visit my grandma every weekend. Oh, I'm reading your sentences, and you're probably feeling nostalgic. You know what nostalgia is? Nostalgia is a sentimental longing or wishful affection for the past. It's like when you have those happy memories, like, oh, I would visit my grandmother every weekend, or that's nostalgia or nostalgic when you're feeling nostalgic. So I'm reading your sentences and I am feeling nostalgic, or I'm feeling nostalgia as well. I would learn English before I I would visit my grandma. Okay, very good. I would I would go Elaine, I would go into my English class before I went to work. When I was a child, I would play outside until nice. I think I also did the same. When I was a child, I would play outside. I would play outside until dark with my neighborhood friends. It was safe. It's not as safe anymore, sadly. Okay, now here I have another long example. When he worked at the office, he would make more phone calls. So the time reference is when he worked at the office. I know some of you work from home now. Has anything changed for you? In my example, this changed. He would make more phone calls, but now he works from home and maybe he doesn't have to make as many phone calls as before. I would attend art. Okay. I would attend an art academy when I was young. I would go for a walk with my friends every morning. That's such a beautiful memory. Great. Excellent. Good job. Very good. Well, thank you so much for typing. I have just one more example. And this example, I'm still here. Okay. This example shows nostalgia. Okay. Good memories or happy memories. My grandma would always cook for us when we visited her. I loved my grandma because she would always cook for us. How about you? Do you have any happy memory, any beautiful memory of a family member or a friend? You could use would for that. Ahmed, very good. When I work at the office or in the office, I would do more tasks. Or you had more tasks? Maybe you were busier there. When he studied for math, he would pass the exam. Okay. Hello, hello. Okay. Any memories that you want to share? Anything, any memories that you hold dear? I'm going to type that, to hold dear. That means that you remembered with nostalgia, with happiness. So, do you have any memories that you hold dear? Dear. Okay. We would visit our grandparents when we were young. My father always took me to school. My father would always take me to school. Okay. Because remember, we're practicing would for past habits, something that happened repeatedly. So you could say, my father would take me to school when I was a kid, or would drive me, or would walk me to school. My mother used to read I was about to read. Okay, we have my sister would often sing. My sister would often sing with me. That's awesome. I love singing as well. That's a great memory. That's a happy memory. Uh, my grandma would always feed me. Yes, grandmas always want to feed you or cook for you or give you food. My grandpa always, my grandpa would always talk to me because that is present tense. My grandpa always talks to me is, oh, unless that's happening, that happens now. Uh, but if you're talking about the past, you have to say would always talk to me. When my teacher taught us, I would learn. When my teacher, maybe when you were younger, you would learn everything more easily and more quickly. My grandma always, my grandma would teach me how to cook when I visited her. Remember, we're using wood. And we would have lunch with my cousins at my grandmother's house. That sounds fun. Great sentences. Very, very good. Okay. Well done, guys. Great job. I am so happy. Uh, you've been typing, you've been answering questions. Thank you so much. And don't worry if you make mistakes. That's fine. I'm correcting you so that you learn. But don't feel bad. We all make mistakes. My grandmother would give me candy. My grandmother always told me a story. Okay, so my grandmother would always tell me stories because you're using tools which is past, but it just shows that it happens. If you said my mother told me a story, it just happened once. But remember, we're using would for actions that were repeated and that happened in the past. So I would say my grandmother would always, or my grandmother would tell me stories when I visited her or when I was a kid. My grandmother would make me, oh, I can't read. My grandmother would make me, would teach me, my grandparents. Okay, well, good job. Very good. Excellent. Well done. So remember, this one is the difference, and I'm going to put this up here as a reference now that we've discussed the differences between both of them. Oh, I hope it stays this way. Okay, have some tape here. There we go. Okay, there we go. I hope you can see it nice and clearly. So we've gone over the differences between used to and would. Let's go over them briefly before I ask you some questions. Okay, so used to describes actions and states. Would only describes actions. So we can only use verbs, stative verbs with used to. Would, it's only for actions. Used to doesn't need a time reference, but would does. It always needs a time reference. As we learned, you can use when I was younger, when I was in fifth grade, when every summer, every year, every winter, every weekend. You always need a time reference. So for used to, it's best for longer periods of time. And for this one, and it shows that things that shows it shows things that happen within a shorter space of time. That's another difference. And this last one, used to, is more casual. It's used in everyday conversation, and would is more formal and polite. And it also shows feeling, it shows nostalgia. Okay, now I have 3 questions for you. It's time to quiz your knowledge or check if you paid attention during the class. So for these sentences, I want you to fill in the blanks. Okay, and I'll move maybe here so you can see it. Okay. So far, so good. I would work in an office, now I work from home. Would always tell me a story. Okay. Before I ask you this question, just remember my grandmother would always tell me. So told is a verb in the past. When you use would or used to, you don't need to change the verb to the past. Just use a base form. My grandmother would tell me a story or would tell me stories when I was a kid. Okay. All right. So fill in the blanks. Are you ready? I'm ready. I'm ready to ask you questions. So he blanked to hate his job until he got a promotion. He blank hate his job until he got a promotion. Mm-hmm. You got it. Has this happened to you before? You hated something until something else happened and you change your mind? Got it. Very good. Used to. You got it. He would hate sorry. He used to hate his job until he got a promotion. So he doesn't hate his job anymore because he got a promotion. He's making more money, of course. Okay. So he used to hate his job until he got a promotion. You got it. All right. Next one. This one, my teacher, blank, be very strict. Yes, you got it. Will be is in the future. Puja will be is future tense. We're talking about the past. My teacher, very strict. Do you know what strict means? Strict is someone who follows the rules and they're very harsh. They're very, no, don't do this, don't do that. That's strict. My teacher. Okay, so there is no time reference. Very good. There is no time reference. That's the key. You got it. I will explain that. So because I don't have a time reference, I have to use used to. It was just a little tricky. You could say would if I have a time reference. My teacher would be very strict with us every time we made a mistake. So I'm giving you a time reference and something that happened. My teacher would be very strict, or my parents would be very strict with us if we wanted to, when we wanted to go out. So you have to give a time reference. For this, we use used to. Mm-hmm. I'm not very strict at all. I'm not strict at all. No, I'm not strict. No, no, no. Great, thank you. You got it now. Very good. Excellent. Okay, let's do the last one. This is a long, long sentence, okay? I know you're kidding. Thank you. Thank you for having a good sense of humor. And this is the last one, another long sentence. We get up late on weekends when we were in school. Great job. Thank you so much for your sweet messages. You guys are the best. I have the best audience today. You're participating, you're typing sentences. That's amazing. And for some of you, or for those of you who have just joined, remember you can always rewatch this lesson after it's posted on our Cambly channel. Okay. So don't worry, you can always rewatch this lesson. Uh-huh. There is a time there, yeah, time reference, and it's a memory. Yes, I used to. Actually, yes, you're right. Who said that? Yes, you're right. Both of them are correct. I just wrote would, but you're right, Desi, because I used to. It's okay. We don't need a time reference. It's not necessary. But if we have a time reference, it's okay. We can use used to or would. Got it. You got it. Remember, it doesn't need a time reference, but if it has a time reference, it's okay. It's an action, right? Get up. Get up is an action. So we can use I used to get up late on weekends. You got it. Very good. I like that you like thinking outside the box as well. I wrote would, but you can definitely use both. Used to and would because it's an action. Great job. Excellent. Excellent. Very, very good. Well, those were my questions for you. Do you have any questions for me? Or do you have any questions from today's lesson? I hope everything was clear. Any questions? Please type your questions in the chat box. And just as a reminder, remember, I will type this for you as well. Would tell me. Okay, there we go. Would and used to. Used to. Plus, we have to use the verb in base form. We don't conjugate the verb. Okay, there we go. 2 questions. What is the difference between Esposa and wife? Spouse and wife. That is not related to the subject, but I'll answer that question. Spouse, and I think you meant to say spouse. Spouse could be either husband or wife or partner. And wife is particularly a girl or a female. Husband is male. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. You guys are the best. You got 100. And remember, you can screenshot this if you need this as a reference. For those who are unfamiliar with Cambly, Cambly gives you instant access to friendly native English speakers like myself and other tutors who can give you lessons anytime, anywhere, right from your phone, your computer, your tablet, anywhere. It's very convenient. I'd love to have a chance to talk to you. And if you have already subscribed, please message me. If you haven't, well, this might be the best best time to do so. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you for the lesson. Well, thank you. Thank you for participating. I am okay. Very useful. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for joining, guys. I hope you have a great Sunday or a great week. If it's Sunday evening for you, it's Sunday morning for me here in Tennessee. So enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you next time. Okay, remember, every weekend we have different live lessons. Thank you so much for joining. I love you all. Bye. See you next time, guys. Bye bye.